My brother calls me at the same time every night and asks, "Are you alone? Is your wife with you?" If I say yes, he hangs up. If I say no, he insists on knowing who's with me. Last night I lied and told him I was alone. I never imagined that it would save me. My brother calls me at 11:47 p.m. every single night. Not 11:45, not 11 exactly 11:40. 47. I know this because I've watched the clock enough times now that the numbers have burned themselves into my retinas like a brand. Sometimes I'm brushing my teeth, sometimes I'm already in bed, staring at the ceiling, counting the ways my life has become smaller than I ever imagined it could be. Sometimes, and this is the part that makes me feel like I'm losing my grip on reality, sometimes I'm just sitting there in the dark, waiting for it, waiting for the phone to light up, waiting for his name to appear on the screen, Marcus, my younger brother, my only brother, the person who used to know me better than anyone else in the world, back when we were kids, sharing a bunk bed in our parents' cramped apartment in Queens, whispering about our dreams after the lights went out. He wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a lawyer. We both ended up somewhere else entirely, which I suppose is just another way of saying we both ended up exactly where life pushed us. But the calls are what I need to tell you about. Because last night I lied to him. And that lie, that single moment of deception born from exhaustion and frustration, and something darker I don't want to name yet, saved my life. Let me start at the beginning, though, or at least at the beginning of when I noticed the pattern. It was 6 months ago, late April, when the city was just starting to shake off winter, and you could smell possibility in the air. That peculiar scent of warming concrete and vendor carts, and hope that New York gets in spring. I remember because it was the week after my 34th birthday, which Carla, my wife, had celebrated with me by taking me to an Italian restaurant in the West Village that cost more than my monthly student loan payment. She'd made a show of it, posting photos on Instagram, tagging me with heart emojis, telling everyone how lucky she was. I should have known then. I should have seen it, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The first call came on a Tuesday. I was in bed, Carla beside me, scrolling through her phone with that particular intensity she got when she was texting someone. I'd learned not to ask who. Marriage, I discovered, required a certain amount of willful blindness to survive. My phone rang. Marcus's name appeared. "Hey, man," I answered, keeping my voice low. "Little late, isn't it?" There was a pause. Then, "Are you alone?" I glanced at Carla. She didn't look up from her screen. "No, Carla's here. Why? Is she awake?" "Yeah, she's—" "Marcus, what's going on?" Another pause. Longer this time. I could hear him breathing. "Nothing," he said finally. "Sorry, wrong number." And he hung up. I stared at my phone, confused. Wrong number? He'd called me. He'd said my name. Or had he? I replayed the conversation in my head, but Carla was talking now, asking me something about picking up dry cleaning, and the moment slipped away like water through my fingers. The next night, same time, 47 p.m. Exactly. "Are you alone? Is your wife with you?" This time I was in the bathroom. Carla was still in bed. I'm in the bathroom. Carla's in the bedroom. "Marcus, seriously, what?" Click. He'd hung up again. By the third night, I started to feel something I can only describe as unease. Not fear exactly, not yet, but something adjacent to it. Something that made my skin feel too tight and my thoughts move in circles I couldn't quite complete. Night 4. "Are you alone?" "No." Click. Night 5. Are you alone?" "Yes." I wasn't. Carla was in the shower. "Are you sure? Is your wife there?" "She's in the shower." "Marcus, what the hell is—" Click. You see the pattern now, don't you? You see what I was too close to see, too tired to understand. He needed to know if I was alone, really alone, and he needed to know specifically about Carla. Not just if someone else was there, if she was there. I started tracking the calls in a note on my phone. I don't know why. Some instinct I'd long thought dead, some residual spark from my childhood dreams of being a lawyer, of solving puzzles and finding truth, or maybe just the desperate need to make sense of something in a life that had stopped making sense years ago. By week 3, I had 21 entries. April 23rd, 11:47 p.m. Asked if alone. Said no, Carla, in bed. Hung up. April 24th, 11:07 p.m. Asked if alone. Said yes, lying. Asked if wife there. Said she was in kitchen. Hung up. April 25th, 11:40 p.m. Asked if alone. Said no. Hung up immediately. And on and on and on. I tried calling him during the day. His phone went straight to voicemail. A generic message, nothing personal. I tried texting, no response. I even drove to his apartment in Astoria one Saturday afternoon, but the super told me he hadn't seen Marcus in weeks, months maybe. Paid his rent through some automatic system. Kept to himself. Always was a quiet one, your brother, the super said, eyeing me with something that might have been pity. But he pays on time. Can't complain about that. I wanted to grab the man by his stained undershirt and shake him. Wanted to scream. My brother calls me every single night at exactly 11:07 p.m. and asks me if I'm alone and then hangs up on me. Does that sound normal to you? Does that sound like something a quiet person does? But I didn't. Because I'm not that person. I've never been that person. I'm the one who keeps his head down, who swallows his anger, who lets things happen to him and then pretends he chose them. I'm the one who married a woman I was already starting to suspect that didn't love me, because the alternative was admitting that I'd wasted 3 years of my life on someone who saw me as a placeholder. I'm the one who took a job processing insurance claims in a windowless office in Midtown because it had benefits and a pension, even though it made me want to drive my car into the East River every single morning on my commute. I'm the one who let his dreams die quietly, without protest, without rage. So no, I didn't shake the super. I thanked him politely and drove home to the two-bedroom apartment in Forest Hills that Carla and I could barely afford. And I sat on the couch while she got ready to go out with her friends. And I wondered, not for the first time, how my life had become so small. That night at 11:47 p.m., my phone rang. Are you alone? I was. Carla had gone out hours ago, some new bar in Williamsburg she'd been excited about. I'd declined to join her. I always declined. She always looked relieved when I did. Yes, I said. Marcus, please, you need to tell me what's... Who are you with? I'm not with anyone. I'm alone. Carla went out. Silence, but he didn't hang up. For the first time in weeks, he didn't hang up immediately. Where did she go? His voice was different, tighter, almost urgent. Some bar. I don't know. Williamsburg? Marcus? What bar? I don't... The Foundry, I think, or maybe... Don't go there. Don't go looking for her. Stay home. My heart was hammering now. What are you talking about? What's going on? Just stay home. Lock your door. And Jake? He never called me Jake anymore. Always man or bro or nothing at all. The sound of my actual name in his mouth made something cold slide down my spine. What? When she comes home tonight, pay attention. Click. Carla came home at 2:47 a.m. I know because I was awake, sitting in the dark living room, watching the door, waiting. I'd locked it like Marcus told me to, though I couldn't have explained why I was following the instructions of someone who'd been acting like a paranoid stranger for weeks. I heard her key in the lock. Heard her curse softly when she encountered the deadbolt, which we normally never used. Heard her fumble with it, then push the door open. She was drunk. Not falling down drunk, but loose-limbed, laughing at something on her phone. She didn't see me at first, sitting there in the dark like some kind of ghost of our marriage. Jesus Christ, Jake. She jumped when she finally noticed me, one hand flying to her chest. You scared the shit out of me. What are you doing sitting in the dark like a psycho? Couldn't sleep. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Flat. Observational. She rolled her eyes, already moving past me toward the bedroom. Whatever, I'm exhausted. But I was watching her now. Really watching her. The way Marcus had told me to. And I saw it. The slight puffiness around her lips, like she'd been kissing someone. The faint smell of cologne that definitely wasn't mine. Something expensive, cedar and citrus, the kind of scent that costs more than my weekly salary. The way her shirt was buttoned wrong, just one button off, but enough that you'd notice if you were paying attention. I'd never been paying attention. How was the bar? I asked. She was already halfway down the hallway. Fine, loud, crowded, the usual. Who'd you go with again? A pause, barely perceptible. Then, Sarah and Jen, you know that. I did know that. She'd told me. But something in the pause made my skin prickle. They have fun? Yeah. Look, I'm really tired. Can we do the interrogation tomorrow? She disappeared into the bedroom. I heard the shower start running a minute later. She always showered after coming home from bars, said she felt grimy. I'd never questioned it before. I sat there in the dark for another hour, listening to the water run, then stop, listening to her move around the bedroom, listening to the silence that had become the dominant sound of our marriage. My phone lit up. A text from Marcus. Did you watch? I stared at the message for a long time before I replied, yes. Three dots appeared immediately. Then, keep watching. Every night. Don't tell her. Marcus, what the hell is going on? 11:47 tomorrow. Make sure you're alone, and then nothing. No matter how many times I texted, no response came. I started watching. God help me, I started really watching. The next morning, Carla slept until 11. She never slept that late. When she finally emerged, she was cheerful in a way that felt performed. Made me French toast even though she knew I didn't like French toast, I'd told her 100 times. And chattered about maybe taking a weekend trip upstate, just the two of us. Wouldn't that be nice? It would have been nice. 6 months ago, a year ago, it would have been the thing I wanted most in the world. But now it felt like a diversion, like stage dressing meant to distract me from the set falling apart behind the curtain. Sure, and I said, that sounds good. Her smile was relieved. Too relieved. I went to work. Processed claims. Denied coverage for a woman with stage 4 cancer because her policy had lapsed by 30 days. 30 days. And I did it with the same dead efficiency I did everything these days. My supervisor complimented me on my productivity. I came home. Carla was there cooking dinner, wearing the dress I'd bought her for Valentine's Day. She never wore that dress. Said it wasn't her style. Thought we could have a nice dinner, she said. Just us. What's the occasion? A flicker of something crossed her face. Irritation? Fear? It was gone before I could name it. Does there need to be an occasion for me to want to spend time with my husband? The word husband sounded wrong in her mouth, like a costume she was wearing, like a role she was playing. We ate. She talked about her day, lunch with her mother, some problem with her car that needed fixing, a funny video she'd seen online. I made appropriate noises, nodded, smiled when I was supposed to smile, and I watched. The way she kept checking her phone, face down on the table, the way she tensed every time it buzzed, the way she excused herself to the bathroom 3 times during dinner, each time taking her phone with her. At 11:45 p.m., she was in bed beside me, scrolling through Instagram, or pretending to scroll through Instagram. Her thumb wasn't actually moving. At 11:47, my phone rang. She tensed. I felt it. The way her body went rigid beside me, like she was bracing for something. It's Marcus, I said like I had to explain like it wasn't obvious. Answer it then. Her voice was too casual, too studied. I got up, walked to the bathroom, closed the door. Are you alone? Yes. Is your wife with you? I looked at the closed door, thought about Carla on the other side, listening or pretending not to listen. No, I said when she's in the bedroom. Good. Has she been acting different today? I thought about the French toast, the dress, the dinner. Yes, that's because she knows I've been calling. My hand tightened on the phone. How would she know that? Because someone told her. Someone who doesn't want me talking to you. Marcus, you need to stop being cryptic and just tell me what. I will, soon, but not yet. Not until I know you're safe. Safe from what? From her. The word hung in the air like smoke, like poison. You think Carla is, what, trying to hurt me? I think Carla is trying to use you. I think she's been using you. And I think when she's done using you, something very bad is going to happen. My laugh was sharp, panicked. That's insane. She's my wife. Does she love you, Jake? The question hit me like a physical blow. Because I'd asked myself that question 1,000 times in the dark hours of our marriage. Asked it every time she pulled away from my touch. Every time she looked at me with that particular expression I'd learned to recognize as barely concealed contempt. Every time she sighed like my existence was exhausting. Yes, I said, but the word felt like a lie. And when's the last time she said it without you saying it first? I couldn't remember. When's the last time she touched you like she wanted to? I couldn't remember. When's the last time she asked you about your day, your dreams, your feelings? When's the last time she looked at you like you mattered? Stop, I whispered. I can't stop. Because in 3 weeks, on June 10th, something is going to happen. And if you're not ready for it, if you don't see it coming, you're going to lose everything. What happens on June 10th? Just keep watching. Keep noting everything. And Jake, what? Whatever you do, Don't let her know that you're watching. Don't let her know that you suspect anything. Act normal. Act like the man she thinks you are, the man she thinks she can use. He hung up. I stood in the bathroom and staring at my reflection in the mirror. I looked old, not just older, old. There were lines around my eyes. I didn't remember being there, gray in my hair at the temples, something defeated in the set of my shoulders. When had that happened? When had I become this person? I opened the door. Carla was exactly where I'd left her, phone in hand, but now she was watching me, really watching me. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, Marcus was just being Marcus. What does that mean? I shrugged, climbing back into bed. Weird, cryptic. You know how he can be. I don't actually. I barely know your brother. It was true. In 3 years of marriage, 2 years of dating before that, Marcus and Carla had met maybe 10 times. Marcus had never liked her. I'd chalked it up to overprotectiveness, the way younger siblings sometimes resent anyone who might take their place. Now I wondered if he'd seen something I'd missed. He's always been strange, I said, which was also true. Marcus had always been the odd one, the kid who asked too many questions, who saw patterns where others saw chaos. Our parents had worried about him, took him to therapists when he was 12, after he became convinced that our neighbor was poisoning his dog. The dog was fine. The neighbor was fine. Marcus was labeled paranoid, given medication he refused to take, and eventually everyone just learned to accept that he was different. But the neighbor moved away 6 months later, and his next dog died mysteriously. Marcus had never said, "I told you so." He'd just looked at me with those two knowing eyes and said, "People don't believe you until it's too late." You should tell him to stop calling so late, Carla said, turning off her phone and settling down into the pillows. It's disruptive. Yeah, I will. But we both knew I wouldn't. She fell asleep quickly, or pretended to. I lay awake in the dark, listening to her breathe, and started making a mental inventory of all the things I'd chosen not to see. I started documenting everything. Not just the phone calls, everything. Every time Carla left the apartment, I noted it. Every time she came home smelling like that cologne. Every time she smiled at her phone and angled it away when I got close. Every time she showered immediately after returning from errands or the gym or coffee with friends. I created a spreadsheet. I know how that sounds. Obsessive, paranoid, exactly the kind of thing Marcus would do. But I needed to see it laid out. Needed to find the pattern. Column A, date. Column B, time. She left, column C. Time she returned, column D. Stated reason for leaving, column E. Observable details, anomalies. May 8th, left 7 p.m., returned 11:30 p.m. Dinner with Jen. New perfume, shower immediately upon return. Anomaly, Jen posted Instagram story at 9 p.m. showing her at home with her husband. May 10th, left 2 p.m., returned 6 p.m. Shopping. No shopping bags. Phone died, asked to use mine to call an Uber, but I saw her texting someone named D, anomaly. She came back with a new bracelet she said was from her mother, but her mother has been dead for 4 years. Wait, no, that's not right. Her mother is alive. Why did I think her mother was dead? I stared at my spreadsheet, confused. Carla's mother lived in Connecticut. I'd met her twice. A thin woman with Carla's same sharp features, same way of looking at you like you were slightly disappointing. But for a moment there, I'd been absolutely certain she was dead. Had a memory of Carla crying at a funeral, me holding her while she sobbed into my shoulder. Except that never happened. I closed my laptop, hands shaking. At 11:40 p.m., Marcus called. Are you alone? Yes, she's asleep. Marcus, I think I'm losing my mind. You're not. That's what she wants you to think. That's part of it. Part of what? How long have you been married? 3 years. How did you meet? I had to think about it. Had to really dig for the memory. A coffee shop. She spilled coffee on me. We laughed about it. Started talking. Are you sure? What do you mean, am I sure? Of course I'm sure. Tell me the name of the coffee shop. Blank. My mind was completely blank. I I don't remember. It was years ago. Tell me what she was wearing. Marcus, tell me. Blue dress? Or maybe, was it black? I don't, tell me one thing she said to you, one specific thing from that first conversation. I couldn't. God help me, I couldn't remember a single word. Jake, listen to me very carefully. I need you to go back through your phone, your emails, your photos, look for gaps, look for things that don't add up. And tomorrow, I need you to do something for me. What? I need you to call your bank. Ask them for a complete record of all account activity for the past 3 years. Every transaction, every transfer, everything. Why would I? Just do it. Trust me. And Jake? Yeah? Don't tell Carla. Don't tell anyone. If she asks what you're doing, lie. You're good at lying now. You've been practicing. He hung up before I could ask what he meant by that. I spent the next hour going through my phone. And Marcus was right. There were gaps. Weird gaps. I had photos of Carla and me from our wedding. Professional shots, beautiful and perfect. But I only had 3 photos from the actual wedding day on my phone. 3. In an era where everyone takes hundreds of photos, I had 3. I had no photos from our honeymoon, not one. But I had a vague memory of Cancun, or was it Costa Rica? We'd gone somewhere tropical, I was almost certain. But there were no photos, no boarding passes saved in my email, no hotel confirmation. I had texts from Carla, but they were strange, mundane. Picking up milk, running late, don't wait up. Nothing personal, nothing intimate, nothing you couldn't show a stranger. I went to our photo albums, the physical ones Carla had insisted on making because she said digital photos didn't feel real. Flipped through them with growing unease. Every photo of us together looked staged, like we were posing for someone else's camera. There were no candid shots, no photos of us laughing, touching, looking at each other with actual affection. Just a chronicle of 2 people standing next to each other in various locations, smiling with their mouths but not their eyes. When had I last looked at these? Really looked? I found our marriage certificate in the filing cabinet, saw my signature, Carla's signature, the officiant's signature, and the date, May 15th, 3 years ago. But the more I stared at it, the more wrong it felt. Had I been there? I had a memory of it, vague dreamlike, but it felt like a memory of a memory. Like something I'd been told happened rather than something I'd experienced. I was still staring at the certificate when Carla appeared in the doorway of the office. What are you doing? Her voice was sharp. I shoved the certificate back in the drawer, tried to look casual. Just looking for some old tax documents. My boss wants me to double check something. She watched me for a long moment. I could feel her evaluating, calculating. It's 3 in the morning. Couldn't sleep. You've been weird lately. She moved closer, put a hand on my shoulder. Her touch felt cold, even through my shirt. Is everything okay? With us? The question should have been comforting, should have felt like concern. Instead, it felt like a test. Everything's fine, just stressed about work. Maybe you should talk to someone, a therapist. I think you might be depressed. I'm not depressed. You're acting paranoid, erratic. That's a symptom. I looked up at her. In the dim light of the office, her face looked different, harder, like I was seeing the truth underneath the mask she usually wore. I said I'm fine. She stared at me for another beat, then smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. Okay, come to bed soon? Yeah, soon. She left. I waited until I heard the bedroom door close before I opened my laptop and started searching. I searched for my own name, plus marriage. Found the public record. May 15th, 3 years ago, just like the certificate said. I searched for Carla's name, found her social media, Instagram, Facebook, all public. Scrolled back 3 years, found photo after photo of us together, proof of our relationship. Except when I looked closer, something was off. The photos were time-stamped, geotagged, captioned with hearts and inside jokes. But I didn't remember any of them being taken. Not one. There we were at the Statue of Liberty. I'd never been to the Statue of Liberty. There we were at a Yankees game. I didn't like baseball. There we were at someone's wedding, me in a suit I didn't own, Carla in a dress I'd never seen. I zoomed in on my face in the photos. The smile was right. The posture was right, but something in the eyes was wrong, something vacant. I opened a new tab and typed, signs of gaslighting. The list that came back made my stomach drop, questioning your memory, trivializing your feelings, denying things they said or did. Using what is near and dear to you as ammunition, making you question your reality. I read through symptoms I'd been experiencing for months, years maybe. The constant feeling that I was forgetting things, the sense that my own memories couldn't be trusted, the way Carla would tell me I'd agreed to things I had no recollection of agreeing to. I opened my bank account, and that's when I saw it. Transfers, hundreds of them, small amounts. $50 here, 100 there, moving from our joint checking account to an account I didn't recognize. The transfers had started 2 years ago and had been happening almost weekly since then. $47,000 gone. I checked the savings account. Another 60,000 withdrawn in larger chunks over the past year. All the money from my parents' inheritance. All the money I'd been saving to finally quit my soul-crushing job and maybe try to do something that didn't make me want to die. Gone. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. I called the bank's after-hours line, was transferred 4 times before I got someone who could help. I need to know about these transfers, I said, reading off the account number the money had been going to. Who owns this account? I'm sorry, sir, but I can't provide information about accounts you're not authorized on. It's my money. It came from my account. I understand, but the receiving account is private. You'd need to speak with the account holder directly or get a court order. Can you at least tell me the name on the account? A pause. I really shouldn't. Please. I think my wife is stealing from me. Another pause. Longer, then quietly. The account is under the name Derek Morrison. The world tilted. Are you sure? Yes, sir. Is there anything else I can help you with? I hung up without answering. Derek Morrison. The person she'd been texting. I pulled up Facebook, searched the name, found him immediately, because of course I did, because the universe was done with subtlety, done with giving me the benefit of the doubt. Derek Morrison, 36, lived in Manhattan, worked in finance, some high-level position, at an investment firm that probably meant he made in a month what I made in a year. And there, in his photos from 8 months ago, Carla, her head on his shoulder at a restaurant I couldn't afford, her laughing at something he'd said, her wearing the bracelet she'd claimed was from her dead mother who wasn't actually dead. I scrolled through more photos, found them at a gala, a beach, a ski resort, all places I'd never been, never could afford to go. The photos were still public. He hadn't bothered to hide them. Why would he? I was just the husband, just the mark, just the fool paying the bills while his wife built a life with someone else using my inheritance. I think I might have laughed, or cried, or both. I don't really remember. What I remember is calling Marcus. He answered on the first ring even though it was 3:47 a.m., not 11:07 p.m. You found it, he said. Not a question. How long have you known? 6 months, maybe longer. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you. How to make you see without breaking you. I'm already broken, Marcus. No, you're not. You're angry. There's a difference. How did you know? He sighed. I saw her 4 months ago. I was in Manhattan for a meeting, and I saw her going into a hotel with some guy. I followed them, watched them check in together. They weren't hiding it, Jake. They were acting like a couple. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? You wouldn't even return my calls during the day. You were so deep in whatever she'd done to you, what she'd done to me. Think about it. Really think. When did you start feeling confused? When did you start doubting your own memory? When did you start accepting things that 6 years ago you would have questioned? I thought back, tried to pinpoint when my life had started feeling like a dream I was having rather than a reality I was living. About 2 years ago, after we got married, right, about the time the transfers started, about the time Derek Morrison enters her social media. Jake, I think she's been drugging you. The words were so absurd, so melodramatic, that I almost laughed. That's insane. Is it? When's the last time you felt clear-headed? When's the last time you woke up feeling rested instead of groggy? When's the last time you could concentrate on anything for more than 10 minutes? I couldn't remember. She makes your coffee every morning, right? Brings it to you in bed. Says it's because she loves you, because she wants to take care of you. She did, every single morning, and I thought it was sweet. What's she giving me? I don't know. Something subtle. Something that wouldn't show up on a standard drug test. Enough to keep you compliant, foggy, easy to manipulate. She's been gaslighting you, Jake. Making you doubt yourself so thoroughly that you can't trust your own thoughts. And while you've been swimming through this fog she's created, she's been stealing from you, building a life with someone else, probably planning to leave you with nothing. Why not just divorce me? Because this way she gets everything, the money, the sympathy, maybe even life insurance if she can figure out how to make you have an accident that looks natural. You can't be serious. June 10th, Jake. 3 weeks from now. Check your calendar. Check what's scheduled. I pulled up my calendar with numb fingers. June 10, annual work retreat. Hudson Valley. I've been going to this retreat for 3 years. 2 days of team building exercises and motivational speakers at some rustic lodge upstate. I always drove myself because Carla had a thing about me being gone overnight. Said she couldn't sleep without me there, which I'd found touching until this exact moment when I realized it was probably just about control. What about it? Cancel it. Call in sick. Whatever you have to do, do not go on that trip. Marcus, I'm working on something. I have a friend, a private investigator. He's been helping me dig into Carla's background, into Derek. There's something bigger here, something I'm still trying to understand, but I need more time, and I need you to stay safe until I have all the pieces. What kind of pieces? The kind that prove what she's been doing, the kind that will hold up in court, the kind that will make sure she doesn't get away with this. I was quiet for a long time, processing, trying to make my drugged, gaslighted brain accept what I was hearing. How do I live with her knowing all this? I finally asked. How do I look at her and pretend everything's normal? The way you've been doing for months. You're already good at pretending, Jake. She made you that way. Now use it against her. After we hung up, I sat in the dark office for another hour. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I made a plan. The next morning, I dumped the coffee Carla brought me down the bathroom sink while the shower was running to mask the sound. Within an hour, my head felt clearer than it had in months, like someone had removed a layer of gauze from my brain. I looked at Carla at breakfast and saw her differently. Saw the calculation in every gesture, the way she watched me drink the orange juice she'd poured, which I also didn't drink, dumping it in the sink when she wasn't looking. The way her smile tightened when I said I felt great, really energized, thinking about going for a run. A run, she repeated. You never run. I used to, remember? Before we met, I ran every morning. Had I? The memory felt real but uncertain, like everything else. That was years ago. You're out of shape. You should start slower. Maybe just a walk. I think I can handle a run, Carla. Something flickered across her face. Annoyance? Worry? I just don't want you to hurt yourself. I'll be fine. I went to the bedroom, changed into old running clothes I found shoved in the back of my drawer, and left before she could object further. I didn't actually run. I walked to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and bought a coffee with my own money, made by someone who wasn't trying to drug me. Drank it slowly, feeling my mind sharpen with each sip. Feeling angry. Feeling for the first time in years actually present in my own life. I pulled out my phone and started making calls. First, to a lawyer. Explained the situation, the money, the affair, the suspicions about drugging. The lawyer was skeptical, but agreed to see me the next day. Second, to Marcus. Told him about the coffee, about how clear my head felt. Good, he said. Keep it up. But Jake, be careful. If she realizes you're not taking whatever she's giving you, she might escalate. Get more desperate. And desperate people do unpredictable things. What else do I need to do? Start gathering evidence. Anything you can find. Financial records, texts, emails, photos of the coffee she makes you. Actually, don't drink it, but save it. We can get it tested. Document everything. I already am. Good. I'm getting closer on my end. The PI found something interesting. Derek Morrison filed for bankruptcy 2 years ago. Lost everything in a bad investment. Right around the time the transfers from your account started. The implications settled over me like cold water. So she's not just having an affair, she's funding his life. Funding their life with your money. And Jake, Derek's married. Wife, 2 kids, lives in Greenwich. He's keeping Carla a secret just like she's keeping him a secret from you. Jesus, there's more. The PI found records of hotel rooms, always booked by Derek, always charged to a credit card that traces back to a business account. Some consulting LLC that doesn't seem to actually do any consulting. Guess who's listed as the business partner? Carla. Bingo. They set up a shell company. The money from your account gets transferred to Derek's personal account, then moved to the LLC, then used to fund their lifestyle. Hotels, restaurants, trips. It's money laundering, basically. They're using you as their personal ATM. I felt sick. Why not just leave me? Why this elaborate? Because leaving you means splitting assets. Divorce means lawyers and paperwork and everything coming out in the open. This way, they take everything while you're too foggy to notice. And once your money's gone, once you're bled dry, I'm guessing the plan is to get rid of you in a way that looks like an accident or suicide. The work retreat, that's my guess. Isolated location. You'd be driving alone through mountain roads. One accident, one tragedy, and Carla becomes a grieving widow. Gets the life insurance, gets whatever's left, gets sympathy instead of suspicion. I can't believe this is real. I can't believe my life has become some kind of noir film. Yeah, well, believe it, because it's happening, and you need to decide right now if you're going to be a victim or a survivor. I watched a mother push a stroller past the coffee shop window, watched her laugh at something the baby did, watched her live a normal life while mine crumbled into something unrecognizable. What do I need to do? Marcus's voice was steady, solid. The voice of the little brother who'd once promised to always have my back, who I'd dismissed as paranoid, who'd been trying to save me all along. You need to become an actor, the best actor of your life. You need to make Carla believe everything is normal until we have enough evidence to destroy her. Can you do that? I thought about the past 3 years. The lies I'd accepted, the reality I'd ignored, the ways I'd made myself smaller and smaller to fit into the box Carla wanted me in. Yeah, I said, I can do that. And so I became someone else. Or maybe I became myself again. The person I'd been before Carla, before the fog, before I'd learned to doubt everything I thought and felt. I went home and told Carla the run had been great. Made a show of being tired but happy. Drank the coffee she made me the next morning, letting most of it spill into a travel mug I secretly dumped in a sewer grate on my walk to the subway. I started taking photos of everything. The coffee she made, the pills in her nightstand that she said were vitamins, but that I suspected were something else. The receipts I found in her purse from restaurants I'd never been to. I set up a secret email account and started forwarding everything to Marcus. Bank statements, screenshots of her texts with D that I found when she left her phone unattended, photos from Derek's Facebook of him and Carla at places she'd told me she couldn't afford to go. I played the role of the dutiful, slightly depressed, increasingly foggy husband. I let her believe she still had control. And at 11:47 every night, Marcus called. Are you alone? Yes. Good. Here's what we learned today. He was building a case, a real case, with his PI friend, with a lawyer he'd hired on my behalf, with evidence that was piling up like sandbags against a flood. We're almost there, he told me 2 weeks in. Just a little longer. Keep playing the part, but it was getting harder. Because the clearer my head got, the angrier I became. The more I saw Carla for what she really was, the harder it was to pretend. The more I wanted to confront her, to throw the evidence in her face, to watch her scramble to explain. Don't, Marcus warned, when I told him. Not yet. If you tip her off now, she'll just change tactics. Get better at hiding it. We need her to feel safe, overconfident. That's when people make mistakes. So I waited, watched, played my part. And on June 8th, 2 days before the work retreat, 2 days before whatever Carla and Derek had planned for me, Marcus called at 11:47 p.m. and said, "We got her. Everything we need. Financial records, text messages, the PI got video of them together. We have proof of the affair, proof of the theft, and we found the drug. What is it? Lorazepam. Benzodiazepine. Small doses, not enough to be obvious, but enough to cause memory problems, confusion, compliance. She's been grinding it into your morning coffee for 2 years. How did you... The PI bribed her dealer. Turns out Carla's been getting it illegally, no prescription. She told the dealer it was for anxiety. But the amounts she was buying, way more than anyone would need for personal use. I was shaking. So what now? Now you don't go on that retreat. You call in sick. And tomorrow you meet with the lawyer. We file for divorce with a full accounting of the financial abuse. We go to the police with evidence of the drugging. We make sure she faces consequences for what she's done. And Derek? His wife deserves to know the truth. We've prepared a package for her, too. Photos, evidence, everything. She can decide what to do with it. I should have felt relieved, vindicated. Instead, I felt hollow. Like the past 3 years of my life had been a lie so complete that I didn't know what was true anymore. Thank you, I said, for not giving up on me, for seeing what I couldn't see. You're my brother. What else was I going to do? After we hung up, I lay in the dark next to Carla, listening to her breathe and thought about what Marcus had said. Desperate people do unpredictable things. Carla had been planning this for 2 years, had been systematically destroying my sense of reality, stealing my money, building a life with another man while I paid for it. She wasn't going to just let it all fall apart. She had a plan for June 10th, a plan that probably ended with me dead, and I just told her I wasn't going. June 9th, the day before the retreat I wasn't going to attend. I woke up to find Carla, already awake, sitting up in bed, watching me. There was something in her expression I hadn't seen before, something cold and assessing. "You're really not going tomorrow?" she asked. We'd had this conversation 3 times in the past week. Each time I told her the same thing. I wasn't feeling well, thought I was coming down with something, probably better to skip it this year. Each time, she'd pushed back a little harder. "I told my boss I'm not coming," I said. "I feel terrible. I think it might be the flu." I didn't feel terrible. I felt better than I had in years. But I'd been performing sickness, taking my temperature in front of her, complaining about body aches, dragging myself through the apartment like every movement hurt. "Maybe you should still go," she said. "Fresh air might help. The mountains, it could be good for you." "Carla, I can barely get out of bed. You seemed fine yesterday. It got worse overnight." She stared at me for a long moment. I could see her thinking, calculating, trying to figure out if I was really sick or if I'd somehow figured out her plan. "Well," she finally said, "I suppose if you're not going, I should stay home and take care of you." "You don't have to do that." "I want to. You're my husband. I should be here." The word husband again, like a weapon she was wielding. "Actually," I said, inspiration striking, "Sarah texted yesterday asking if you wanted to do a girls' weekend. Said something about the Berkshires. Maybe you should go. No point in both of us being stuck inside." A flicker of something crossed her face. Interest? Relief? "I couldn't leave you when you're sick." "I'll be fine. I'll just sleep. Honestly, I'll probably be boring company." "Are you sure?" "Positive." "Go, have fun. You deserve a break." She kissed my forehead. Her lips felt like ice. "You're so good to me," she said. I waited until she left the bedroom to check my phone. A text from Marcus. "Meeting with lawyer today at 2 p.m. Don't be late." And then another text. This one from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Rob Chen, Marcus's friend, the PI. Need to talk to you ASAP. Don't call from your regular phone. Use this number." I waited until I heard Carla in the shower, then used the prepaid phone I'd bought last week, another suggestion from Marcus, to call. Rob answered immediately. "Jake, we have a problem." My stomach dropped. "What kind of problem?" "I've been tailing Derek Morrison. He didn't go to work today. Instead, he drove upstate. Want to guess where? The retreat. Bingo. He's at a hotel about 5 miles from where your work retreat is supposed to be. Checked in this morning. Paid cash. So they're definitely planning something. That's what it looks like, but here's the thing. I did some more digging into Derek's background. The bankruptcy I mentioned, it wasn't from a bad investment. He was charged with fraud, settled out of court, and sure, but there were allegations of identity theft, financial manipulation, blackmail. This guy is not just a cheater. He's a professional con artist. And Carla? I pulled her records too. Her real records, not the ones she shows people. Did you know she was married before? What? No, she said she'd never been married. She was married for 6 months when she was 23. Guy's name was Richard Chen. No relation to me. He died in a car accident 3 months after the wedding. Single car crash, went off a mountain road, just like what I'm guessing they have planned for you. Carla was supposed to be with him, but canceled at the last minute. Said she was sick. The room was spinning. There was an investigation, Rob continued. Insurance companies suspected the foul play, but they couldn't prove anything. Carla inherited everything, about 200 grand, which she went through in less than a year. Oh, God. Yeah. Then 6 years later, she tried the same thing with another guy, accountant named James Porter. They weren't married, but they'd been together for 3 years, lived together, joint accounts, the whole thing. He died in a boating accident. Carla wasn't with him. Said she had a migraine. Again, there was an investigation. Again, nothing stuck. But she inherited half his estate, about 400 grand. Gone in 2 years. How is she not in prison? Because she's smart and patient, and she knows how to pick her marks. Men who are isolated, who don't have a lot of close friends or family looking out for them. Men who are a little vulnerable, a little lonely, a little too trusting. Men like me. So what do I do? You don't go anywhere near those mountains. You stay in the city, in public places with witnesses. And tonight, when Marcus calls, how do you know about the calls? Marcus told me. It's how he's been keeping you safe, making sure you're actually alone, that Carla can't overhear. Smart move. Anyway, tonight when he calls, you need to tell him something. What? You need to tell him where Carla keeps her laptop. We need access to it. There's something on there. Marcus thinks it's communications with Derek, plans, maybe even evidence of the previous deaths. But we need physical access to get past her security. It's in her office, home office. She keeps it locked. Can you get in? Maybe. She keeps the key in her jewelry box. Then tonight, when she's asleep, you get that laptop. Take it to Marcus. He's got someone who can crack it, copy everything, and have it back before morning. And if she notices it's gone, then you're going to have bigger problems than a missing laptop. Jake, listen to me. This woman has killed at least 2 people, maybe more that we haven't found yet. She's not going to stop just because you decided not to go on a work retreat. She'll adapt. She'll find another way. The only way you're safe is if we get enough evidence to put her away. After I hung up, I sat there for a long time, trying to process. My wife was a serial killer. My wife had killed 2 men before me. My wife was planning to kill me. It was so absurd, so beyond the realm of what I thought was possible, that part of me still wanted to laugh, to dismiss it as paranoia, to believe that this was all some terrible misunderstanding. But I couldn't, because everything fit. Every piece of evidence, every strange moment, every time I'd felt like something was wrong but couldn't name what. Carla came out of the bathroom in a towel, humming. "Feeling any better?" she asked. "A little, still pretty rough." Poor baby. She sat on the edge of the bed, ran her hand through my hair. Her touch made my skin crawl. "I talked to Sarah. We're going to do the Berkshires thing. Leave this afternoon, back Sunday. That okay?" "Of course, Len. Yes, I'll just be sleeping anyway." "You sure you'll be okay alone?" The question felt like a test. "I'll be fine. Marcus said he might stop by, keep me company." Her hand stilled in my hair. "Marcus is coming over?" "Maybe. He mentioned it. Thought he'd bring some soup or something." "That's nice of him." But her voice was tight. She didn't like the idea of Marcus being around. Of course she didn't. Marcus was the one variable she couldn't control. "When are you leaving?" I asked. "In a few hours. Need to pack." She stood up, dropped the towel, started getting dressed in front of me in a way that would have once felt intimate, but now felt like manipulation, like she was reminding me what I had to lose. "I'll miss you," she said. "I'll miss you too." The lie tasted like poison on my tongue. She left at 3 p.m., suitcase in hand, kiss on my forehead, promises to call when she got there. I watched from the window as she loaded her bag into her car, watched her pull out of the parking lot, watched until she was completely out of sight. Then I called Marcus. "She's gone." "Good. Stay where you are. I'm coming over." He arrived 20 minutes later, looking more serious than I'd ever seen him. "You ready for this?" he asked. "I don't think I have a choice." "You always have a choice. You can go to the police right now with what we have. Press charges, take our chances with the system. Will it be enough? Honestly, I don't know. The drugging, we can prove. The financial theft, we can prove. But the murders, they're circumstantial. We have patterns, we have suspicions, but we don't have hard evidence. A good lawyer could make it all go away. She could walk. Then we get the laptop." We spent the next hour planning. Marcus had brought a kit, lockpicks, a USB drive, with specialized software, gloves. He'd thought of everything. "We wait until 11:47, he said. "That's when I call you, on your regular phone, but you don't answer. You let it ring while we're getting the laptop. That way, if she somehow checks, if she's tracking your phone or has some way of monitoring, it looks like normal. Like I called at the usual time, and you were too sick to answer. You really think she's tracking me? I think she's capable of anything, and I think underestimating her is what got her first 2 husbands killed." The word husbands made me want to throw up. We waited, ordered food, tried to act normal, even though nothing about this was normal. At 11:47 p.m., my phone rang. Marcus's name on the screen. I let it ring while we moved silently to Carla's office. The key was exactly where I said it would be. The office door opened without a sound, and there, on her desk, was her laptop. Marcus plugged in his USB drive while I stood guard at the door, heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my chest. "This is going to take a few minutes," Marcus whispered. The software has to copy everything without leaving traces. I nodded, watching the hallway, half expecting Carla to materialize out of the shadows. Jake, Marcus said after a minute, you need to see this. I moved to stand behind him. On the screen was an email chain between Carla and Derek. From Carla, May 20th. He's getting suspicious, asking questions about the money. We need to move the timeline up. From Derek, May 20th. Can't move it up. Retreat is the perfect setup. Isolated, long drive, easy to stage, we stick to the plan. From Carla, May 22nd. What if he doesn't go? What if he gets sick or cancels? From Derek, May 22nd. Then we improvise, but he'll go. You'll make sure of it. You're good at that. From Carla, June 5th. He's canceling. Says he's sick. Thinks he has the flu. I pushed, but he's not budging. From Derek, June 5. Problem. Need to talk. Call me. From Carla, June 7. New plan. I'm going away this weekend. Told him I'm going to the Berkshires with friends. You're going to break in. Make it look like a robbery gone wrong. I'll make sure I have an alibi. We'll split the life insurance 50-50 like we planned. From Derek, June 7th. What about the brother? He's been calling every night. What if he shows up? From Carla, June 8th. I'll handle Marcus. One way or another, he's not going to be a problem. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. She knows, I whispered. She knows about the calls. Looks like it, which means she's coming back tonight. She's not in the Berkshires. She's probably parked somewhere nearby, waiting. Marcus was already unplugging his USB drive. We need to go, now. What about the laptop? Leave it. We got what we need. We need to get out of here before... The sound of a car pulling into the parking lot cut him off. We both froze. Is there a back way out? Marcus whispered. Fire escape. Bedroom window. We ran. I grabbed the emergency bag I'd packed, Marcus's idea, documents and cash and a change of clothes, and we went out the bedroom window onto the fire escape. From there, we could see Carla's car in the parking lot. But she wasn't alone. There was someone else in the passenger seat. Derek. They sat there for a moment, talking. I could see Carla gesturing, Derek nodding. Then they both got out of the car. Derek was carrying something. In the glow of the streetlight, I could see what it looked like. A gun. Go! Marcus hissed. Move! We climbed down the fire escape as quietly as we could. Hit the ground. Ran for Marcus's car parked 2 blocks away. We were half a block away when I heard the sound of my apartment door opening. Faster, Marcus said. We made it to his car. He started the engine just as I heard Carla scream my name. Jake! Jake, where are you? Marcus pulled out onto the street. In the rearview mirror, I could see Carla and Derek running toward us. Call the police, Marcus said. Now. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. 911, what's your emergency? My name is Jake Anderson. I'm at the corner of... I looked at the street sign, told the operator where we were. My wife and her boyfriend just broke into my apartment with a gun. They're trying to kill me. Sir, are you safe now? I'm in a car. We're driving, but they were in my apartment. You need to send someone there. There's evidence. Her laptop. It has emails, plans to murder me. Sir, I need you to stay calm. Can you give me your address? I rattled it off, gave them every detail I could. Told them about the gun, about Derek, about Carla chasing us. Officers are on their way to your address. Are you going somewhere safe? I looked at Marcus. He nodded. Yes, I'm going to the police station. I'm coming to you. We drove through the night, checking constantly to make sure we weren't being followed. Marcus called Rob, told him what happened. Rob said he'd meet us at the station, bring all the evidence we'd gathered. At 1:30 a.m., we pulled into the parking lot of the police station. At 1:45 a.m., I was sitting in an interview room, telling my story to a detective who looked skeptical until Rob arrived with a file folder 3 inches thick. At 3:00 a.m., they issued a warrant for Carla and Derek's arrest. At 4:30 a.m., they found them trying to board a flight to Mexico out of Newark. At 6:00 a.m., as the sun was rising over the city, I was sitting in another interview room, this time with a victim's advocate and a lawyer Marcus had hired for me, and I was giving a formal statement. I told them everything: the drugging, the money, the emails, the previous husbands, the plan to kill me. And at 11:47 a.m., not p.m., but a.m., 12 hours off from Marcus's usual call time, my phone rang. The detective nodded that I could answer. It was Carla. Jake, she said, and her voice was different now. Not the sweet, manipulative tone I'd become used to. Something rawer, more real. Jake, please, This is all a misunderstanding. I can explain everything. I don't think you can, Carla. The money, I was investing it. For us. For our future. I was trying to surprise you. With a bullet? Silence. Derek had the gun. Not me. I didn't know he was going to. Stop. Just stop. I read the emails, Carla, and I know about Richard and about James, about how you've done this before. Her breath hitched. When she spoke again, her voice was cold. The mask was completely off now. You were supposed to be easy. Lonely, desperate, easy to control. But then, your brother had to start calling. Had to start making you question things. This is his fault, all of it. No, I said, this is your fault. You chose this. You chose to drug me, to steal from me, to try to kill me. That's on you. I needed the money. She cut herself off. It doesn't matter. You'll never be able to prove any of it. I'm good at this, Jake. I've done it before and walked away. I'll do it again. We have your laptop. We have the emails. We have your drug dealer's testimony. We have evidence of the previous deaths. And we have Derek. My guess is he's going to flip on you the second he realizes he's looking at life in prison. The silence that followed was the longest of my life. I could have loved you, she finally said. If you'd just stayed stupid and compliant. If you'd just stayed the person I made you. We could have been happy. No, I said, we couldn't. Because you're incapable of love. You're only capable of using people. And you're just another weak man who thinks he's special. You're not. You're just another Mark who got lucky. She hung up. The detective looked at me. We got it all. Recording came through clean. That's a confession to conspiracy to commit murder, at minimum. I nodded, unable to speak. Marcus appeared in the doorway. It's over. They're both being charged. Federal charges, too. Wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. The DA thinks they can tie them to the previous deaths. They're not walking away from this. I stood on shaking legs. Marcus caught me before I fell. I got you, he said. I got you, man. And finally, I let myself break. The trial was 8 months later. In between, I lived with Marcus in his apartment in Astoria. Went to therapy 3 times a week. Started the long, painful process of detoxing from the benzodiazepines, of unpacking the gaslighting, of trying to figure out who I was when I wasn't under someone's control. I learned things about myself. I learned that I actually did used to run every morning before Carla, that I'd once had friends I'd lost touch with because she'd slowly, systematically isolated me, that my dreams of being a lawyer hadn't been childish fantasies. I'd actually scored well on the LSAT before I met her, had been planning to apply to law school. She'd convinced me I wasn't smart enough, wasn't capable enough, had needed to stay in the safe, boring job because that's all I could handle. I learned that I'd had money saved before the inheritance, almost $30,000 that she'd emptied out in the first year of our marriage, telling me we'd needed it for emergencies I couldn't remember. I learned that the memories I'd thought were real, our honeymoon, our wedding day, even how we met, had been carefully constructed lies. We'd never had a honeymoon. Our wedding had been at City Hall with 2 strangers as witnesses, and we'd met on a dating app she'd later deleted, not at a coffee shop. Everything had been a fiction, a story she'd told me until I believed it. The trial was in February. I testified for 3 days. Carla watched me the entire time with an expression I couldn't read. Derek looked scared, defeated. His lawyer had tried to make a deal, testimony against Carla, in exchange for a reduced sentence. But Carla's lawyer had fought it viciously. She wanted to make sure if she went down, she took him with her. The prosecution presented the emails, the financial records, the testimony from her drug dealer, Rob's investigation into the previous deaths. They brought in Richard Chen's brother, who'd always suspected Carla, James Porter's sister, who testified that James had been planning to leave Carla before he died, that he'd suspected she was stealing from him. They brought in handwriting experts who proved Carla had forged signatures on loan documents, credit card applications, insurance policies. They brought in computer forensics experts who showed how she and Derek had created shell companies, moved money, planned murders like people plan vacations. And they brought in Marcus, who explained the phone calls. I knew something was wrong, he said from the witness stand. My brother wasn't acting like himself. He was forgetting things, seemed confused all the time. When I saw her with Derek, saw how she was living a double life, I knew I needed to get through to Jake somehow. But I also knew if she overheard our conversations, if she knew I was trying to help him, she'd escalate. So I called every night at the same time, when I knew she'd be aware of it, but couldn't hear what we were saying. And I asked if he was alone, so I'd know if it was safe to talk. And if he wasn't alone, the prosecutor asked, then I'd hang up, wait for the next night, keep the pattern going so she'd think I was just being paranoid, just being weird, so she wouldn't take me seriously as a threat. But you were a threat. Yes, because I was the one person who still saw my brother as a person, not a mark. I was the one person she couldn't gaslight or manipulate or control. When it was the defense's turn, Carla's lawyer tried to paint her as a victim, said she'd been coerced by Derek, said she was in an abusive relationship, said she'd never actually intended for anyone to die. But the jury didn't buy it. They deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on all counts. Carla's face didn't change when the verdict was read. She just stared straight ahead, like she'd already left her body, like she was already somewhere else. Derek sobbed. Sentencing was 3 weeks later. Carla got life without parole. Derek got 40 years. The judge looked at Carla and said, "You targeted vulnerable people and destroyed their lives for financial gain. You show no remorse, no empathy, no humanity. You are a danger to society, and you will remain incarcerated for the rest of your natural life." Carla smiled, actually smiled. "I regret nothing," she said, "except getting caught." The judge had her removed from the courtroom. Afterward, standing on the courthouse steps with Marcus beside me, I finally felt like I could breathe. "What now?" Marcus asked. "Now?" I looked at the city stretched out before us. The city that had almost killed me, but had also saved me. Now I figure out how to live again. They say trauma changes you, makes you different, makes you view the world through a lens of suspicion and fear. They're right. But they're also wrong. Because yes, I'm different now. Yes, I look at people differently, trust differently, love differently, but I'm not broken. I'm not ruined. I'm just awake. I did go to law school. Turns out I was smart enough after all. I specialized in elder law, helping older people protect themselves from financial abuse. It felt right, felt like taking the worst thing that ever happened to me and turning it into something useful. Marcus and I talk every day now, not at 11:47 p.m. We retired that tradition, but we talk, really talk, about everything and nothing, about our lives, our dreams, our fears, about how he almost lost me, about how he refused to give up. "Why didn't you?" I asked him once, a year after the trial. "Why did you keep calling when I wasn't answering? When I was clearly not interested in whatever you were trying to tell me?" He was quiet for a long time. Then, "Because you're my brother. Because I remember who you were before her. And I knew that person was still in there somewhere, even if he couldn't see himself anymore. Someone had to remember for you until you could remember for yourself." I cried when he said that, not sad tears, grateful ones. I dated again eventually, but carefully, slowly, with eyes wide open. Her name was Lauren. She was a librarian. She had her own trauma, her own story of surviving something terrible. We understood each other in a way that felt safe, real. On our third date, she asked me about the scar on my wrist, from the IV I'd needed during detox, when the benzodiazepine withdrawal had gotten bad. I told her the truth, all of it. The drugging, the gaslighting, the attempted murder. I figured if it scared her off, better to know now. She listened to the whole story. Then she said, "My ex-husband tried to kill me too. Carbon monoxide poisoning made it look like a faulty furnace. I only survived because my mom showed up unexpectedly." We stared at each other across the table in the little Italian restaurant. Then we both started laughing. Not happy laughter. The kind of laughter that comes from recognizing someone else who's been to hell and made it back. "We're quite a pair," she said. "We really are." We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony. Marcus was my best man. Lauren's mom cried the whole time. Before the ceremony, Marcus pulled me aside. "Oh, you good?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. "I'm good. No doubts, no fear. Some fear. Probably always will be. But I know the difference now. I know what love looks like versus what manipulation looks like. I know what it feels like to be seen versus what it feels like to be used." And Lauren? Lauren sees me, really sees me. The good, the bad, the traumatized, the healing, all of it. And she still chooses to be here. Marcus smiled. "Then you're going to be okay." And I was. It's been 5 years now since that last phone call with Carla. 5 years since I almost died. 5 years since I learned that the life I thought I was living was a carefully constructed fiction designed to drain me of everything I had before disposing of me. I still think about it sometimes, not as often as I used to, not with the same paralyzing fear, but it's there, a scar on my psyche that will never fully fade. I think about how close I came, how if Marcus had been less persistent, less observant, less willing to look paranoid in pursuit of truth, I'd be dead. A tragic accident. A grieving widow collecting life insurance. Another man who had disappeared into Carla's wake. I think about Richard and James. Men I never knew, but who I feel connected to in death. Or rather, in not death. In survival by proxy. They didn't make it out, but their deaths. And Marcus's investigation into them saved me. I visited Richard's grave once. I didn't know what to say. Sorry felt inadequate, so I just stood there and promised him that I'd keep doing the work. Keep helping people protect themselves. Keep making sure his death meant something. I never visited James's grave. His sister asked me not to, said it was too painful, knowing how many of us there'd been, knowing she'd tried to warn the police and hadn't been believed. Make sure you're loud about what happened to you, she told me. Make sure people hear it, because that's the only way we stop people like her. So I've been loud. I wrote a book, The Midnight Call, How My Brother's Paranoia Saved My Life. It became a bestseller, which was surreal. I went on talk shows, did podcasts, spoke at conferences, told my story over and over until it stopped feeling like my story and started feeling like a cautionary tale I was sharing on behalf of all the people who didn't survive theirs. The book brought other survivors out of the shadows. I heard from dozens of people who'd been through similar things. Not all of them had someone like Marcus in their lives. Some of them had saved themselves. Some of them were still trapped, still trying to figure out how to escape. I helped when I could, connected them with resources, lawyers, therapists, safe houses. Rob the PI started working with a nonprofit that helped people document financial abuse. It became a whole thing, a movement almost. People taking back their lives from people who'd tried to take everything. Carla sent me letters from prison. At first, they were angry, threatening, blaming me for ruining her life. Then they turned manipulative. Sorry, regretful, claiming she'd changed, that she'd found God, that she understood what she'd done wrong. Then they turned desperate, begging me to speak on her behalf at parole hearings, promising she'd never hurt anyone again if I'd just help her. I never responded to a single one. I gave them all to the DA, though. Evidence of continued manipulation, evidence that she hadn't changed at all. She'll die in prison. I'm certain of that now. Derek got out after 15 years on good behavior. I heard he moved to the Midwest somewhere, changed his name, tried to disappear. I hope he stays disappeared. Last night, 5 years, 2 months, and 7 days after Carla tried to have me killed, my phone rang at 11:47 p.m. I was in bed next to Lauren reading. She was already asleep, curled against my side, her breathing slow and steady. I saw Marcus's name on the screen and felt my heart rate spike. Old trauma, old fear. Even though I knew it was just Marcus, even though I knew I was safe. I answered. Are you alone? Marcus asked. The old question, the old ritual. But this time he was laughing. Sorry, he said. Sorry, that's not funny. I know it's not funny, but it's been 5 years, man. 5 years since I had to ask you that question for real. And I wanted to mark it somehow. Remember where we were and how far you've come. I was quiet for a moment, letting the fear drain away, letting the present reassert itself. I'm not alone, I finally said. Lauren's here, asleep beside me, and I'm okay, Marcus. I'm really, truly okay. Good, he said, and I could hear the emotion in his voice. That's good. That's what I wanted to hear. Why are you really calling? Wanted to tell you something. Diane and I are having a baby. Due in August. Diana was Marcus's girlfriend of 3 years, an architect. Smart, funny, patient with Marcus's quirks in a way that made me think this one might actually last. That's incredible. Congratulations. Thanks, and Jake, we want to name him after you, if that's okay. Jake Marcus Chen. We thought it would be good. A fresh start for the name. A reminder that good things can come after bad things. I felt tears burning behind my eyes. I'd be honored. Good. Diana will call you this week to talk details, but I wanted to tell you first. Wanted you to hear it from me. Marcus? Yeah? Thank you for everything, for not giving up on me, for seeing what I couldn't see, for calling every night even when I didn't want you to. You're my brother. What else was I going to do? After we hung up, I sat there in the dark, listening to Lauren breathe, and thought about patterns. How Carla had created a pattern of abuse, manipulation, death. How Marcus had created a pattern of calls to break me free from that pattern. How I'd had to learn new patterns of thinking, of trusting, of loving. How life was just patterns all the way down. And the key to survival was recognizing which patterns were killing you and which patterns were saving you. Lauren stirred beside me. Everything okay? She mumbled, half asleep. Yeah, I said, pulling her closer. Everything's perfect. Marcus doing his yearly check-in call? Something like that. Tell him I said hi. I will. She drifted back to sleep. I lay awake for a while longer, thinking about the version of me from 5 years ago, the one who was being slowly poisoned, slowly erased, slowly murdered by someone who was supposed to love him. That version of me had been so lost, so convinced that his confusion was his fault. His memory problems were age, his unhappiness was depression. He'd been wrong about all of it. And if I could go back and tell him one thing, it would be this. When someone you love makes you doubt your own reality, that's not love. That's violence. When someone you trust isolates you from everyone who cares about you, that's not care. That's control. And when the people around you, people like Marcus, seem paranoid, seem to be seeing patterns you can't see, sometimes they're not paranoid at all. Sometimes they're the only ones paying attention. If you've made it this far, if you've read this whole story, I need you to understand something. This isn't a story about me. I mean, it is, obviously. It's my life, my near death, my survival. But it's also a story about the people around you, the ones who see things you can't see, the ones who keep calling even when you don't answer, the ones who look paranoid but who are actually just awake. It's a story about how love, real love, the kind that actually gives a shit, looks less like romance and more like stubbornness, less like grand gestures and more like showing up over and over, every night at 11:47, until you're finally ready to listen. Marcus saved my life not because he was a hero, but because he was my brother and because he paid attention when I stopped being myself. So pay attention. If someone you care about starts forgetting things, acting confused, seems depressed or anxious in ways they never were before, if they're isolating themselves, if they're being controlled by a partner in ways that don't sit right with you, pay attention. Don't assume you're being paranoid. Don't assume you're overreacting. Don't assume that person would tell you if something was wrong. Because here's the thing about abuse, about manipulation, about being slowly poisoned, the victim is usually the last person to see it. Their reality has been so thoroughly warped that they can't trust their own perceptions anymore. They need someone outside that warped reality to hold up a mirror, to say, this isn't normal. This isn't okay. This isn't what love looks like. Be that person. Make that call. Ask that question. And if the person you're worried about says they're fine, says everything's okay, says you're being ridiculous, keep calling anyway. Because one day, maybe months from now, maybe years, they might answer. They might be ready to hear what you've been trying to tell them. They might finally be able to see what you've been seeing all along. And on that day, your stubbornness might be the thing that saves their life. It's 11:47 p.m. right now as I write this. In a minute, my phone will ring. Not because Marcus actually needs to check on me anymore. Not because I'm in danger. Not because there's a pattern we need to maintain for survival, but because some patterns are worth keeping. Some rituals mean something beyond their original purpose. Every night at 11:47, Marcus calls. And every night I answer. Sometimes we talk for an hour, sometimes just for a minute. Sometimes we don't even really say anything, just sit there in comfortable silence. Two brothers who went through hell and came out the other side. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Not just about recognizing abuse, not just about paying attention, not just about being stubborn enough to save someone even when they don't want to be saved, but about connection, about showing up, about creating new patterns to replace the ones that almost destroyed you. My phone is ringing now. I answer. Are you alone? Marcus asks, and we both laugh. No, I say, I'm not. I'm really, truly not. And that right there is the happy ending I never expected to get.